Welcome to our channel, $1 Million Made Easy. This channel is made for you. In this video, I want to answer the question, is $500,000 saved enough? That's a question many people that are nearing retirement might be asking. There are two crucial questions that need to be answered in order to answer this question. Let's go ahead and look at them. What we do on this channel is create spreadsheets. This is one of them that we've created. Let's say, for example, you got that $500,000, you're age 58, and you need to know the number one question you need to answer is what are your expected expenses in today's dollars? Let's say, for example, you figure you need $60,000 a year, which would be $5,000 a month. Another question you need to answer, do you have other income? Are you going to plan on taking Social Security? When are you going to plan on taking it? So we need to know what you're going to expect to get from Social Security. And again, at age 58, you should be able to look at your Social Security statement and figure that out. If you're younger than that, you can also go to Social Security Quick Calculator, type in your date of birth, type in your current earnings, and it's going to kick out an estimate of what you might get at age 67. Well, let's go back here and say that you look at your Social Security statement and it says you're going to get $1,500 a month. Now, what we do on this channel is we use returns for the S&P 500 for the last 100 years. And we simply project ahead what similar returns might do for you in the future. They won't be identical, but they're going to give us a range. And we figure returns going forward are not going to be any worse than what happened in the 1930s, the Depression years. So that's what we're going to look at. And in the last 100 years, if we use the numbers for the last 100 years, in the worst case scenario, if you retire at age 67 and you're 58 now, that'd be 9 years from now. These are the numbers you'd have. You'd have 500,000 put in. And if you had numbers like 1929 going forward, you wouldn't even have that amount. You'd only have 348,000. The second worst scenario in the last 100 years, a lot of people think it's just during the Depression years, but the second worst would be the year 2000. The year 2000 was also a nasty decade, 3 down years and down 37%. So you can see here, second worst scenario, you'd be out of money. This is when you'd be out of money, by the way, if you start taking out these different sums. Now, here's what we're looking at. 1929 numbers, you have 348,000. Year 2000 numbers, you have 359,000. The median in the last 100 years, you have 1.2 million, and the best case scenario is 2.749. Again, nobody knows the future. So we're going to look at a range from this amount to this amount, and look what would happen if you start withdrawing this 4,651 from these sums. How do we come up with 4,651? We simply take this 5,000 that you expect to need in today's dollars, and we use an inflation rate of 3%. And over the next 9 years, you're actually going to need this kind of money, approximately. Social Security, this 1,500 is going to grow. We're going to grow to the 2.5% COLA, which is what this year's COLA was. So in the next 9 years, you're going to get 1,873. And since you're taking at age 67, you get 100% of that. So this is projected expenses, projected Social Security, and this is what you're going to project to need from your nest egg. If you do that and had returns like 1929, again, this is an outlier. This is kind of the worst case scenario. You'd be out of money at age 75. Even in the second worst case scenario, using numbers from the year 2000, you'd be out of money at age 76. What I like to do in this column is kind of not really look at these outliers. Let's say 95% of the time what you would have. These are the numbers. You'd have at least this amount 95% of the time using numbers for the last 100 years. And if you had these 95% of the time, this is the amount you would have, 502,000, at least this amount. And if you start taking out this 4,651, your money would last until age 94. That's without adding another dime. If you just quit putting money in and waited till age 67 to do that, what happens if we put in $400 a month? Then your money lasts. You do not run out. Let's go back to this here. But again, say you don't want to retire at age 67. Say you want to go at age 65 when you can first take Medicare. Watch how these numbers change. Again, these are the worst outliers in the last 100 years, and this is 95% of the time you'd be okay and your money would be lasting to age 94. So let's go to age 65. Now your money's running out at age 77, 5% of the time. If we go to use 10% of the time, then it lasts till age 90. So it all depends on what you think you want to use for your worst case scenarios, whether you want to use the worst 5% or the worst 10%. Obviously, the more you allow the success rate to be at 90% or so, the longer your money's going to last. So 90% success rate using numbers, your money would last till age 90. If you just thought you want to do that 95% success rate, it would last till age 77. There's quite a bit of difference there. Again, what do you think is going to happen in the future? But that's at age 65. This is without saving a dime. What happens if you save between age 58 and 65? If you save $400 a month, it would increase it by 1 year. As you can see, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference how much you save in these last few years. You need to have this amount be a certain amount, and that's why we need to know what your expenses are. Then we can run the numbers for you. If you want to retire even earlier, like age 64, you're running out of money at age 75 with this kind of a sum. Now, what else could we do differently? What happens if you expect your expenses just to be a little bit less? Let's go to $4,500 a month. Again, that's why what your expenses are is so crucial in figuring all this out. If we go from $5,000 a month, where you're running out of money at age 75, let's go back to age 65. Money's lasting until age 93. Oops, let's go to 5,000. Money's run out at age 78, but if you expect expenses are 4,500, look at the difference. Now your money's lasting until age 93, 95% of the time. And if you want to change this to 90% of the time, then it lasts. You do not run out of money with 4,500 expenses. But you see how crucial your expenses are? This is the number one question you have to ask yourself. What are your expected expenses if you want to retire with this kind of money at this age? Now let's do a couple other things here. Let's say you want to retire at age 62. You want to know, what do I need to do? Well, again, your money's going to run at age 77 if you have these kind of expenses. But what happens if your Social Security is a little bit higher? What happens if it's $2,000 a month instead of $1,500? Changes from 77 to 94. See how crucial these two pieces of information are? What your expenses are and what you're going to get from Social Security. A lot of people think Social Security is not going to be there. It'll be there. It just probably won't be as much, possibly in about 9 years or so. What happens if you're expecting to get $2,000 a month and you only get 75% of that or 80% of that? That'd be $1,600 a month. Watch this number change right here. Now you're at 77 again. Again, it all depends on what your Social Security is. You open up your Social Security statement and it's $2,400. Your money lasts, even if you take 20 or 75% of that. Your money's lasting until age 84. We can play around with these numbers all we want. Again, it all depends on what your expected expenses are and what you're expecting to get from Social Security, and also your age. If you had these numbers, if you had this 500,000 a year earlier, watch what happens to this number right here. 90% of the time, this is how long your money would last, or better. If we go to age 57, if you had that sum just a year earlier, watch what happens. Now your money lasts. See that? One more year for this money to accumulate before you start taking Social Security at age 62. That's how your numbers would change. Just that 1 year's difference. On the other hand, if you're 59 years old, now your money's only lasts till age 77. Again, it's so important what your expenses are, what you're getting from Social Security, and also, really importantly also, is what your current age is and how soon you expect to retire. If you're 59 and can work till age 65, your money lasts with these kind of numbers and this kind of Social Security. Let's see what would happen if we change it to $5,000 in expenses. Again, that's the crucial one. Now your money's lasting until 104, which isn't bad with all these numbers. You're only getting $1,500 from Social Security. Your money's running out at age 87. Again, 10% of the time. 90% of the time, it would last at least till age 87, and these would be your numbers. But again, that's what we do on this channel. We love to answer questions to kind of help people to see where they might be, to realize maybe they don't need $1 million, but is 500,000 enough? Again, we need to know these two pieces of information: what your expected expenses are and what you're going to get from Social Security. And the key one also is what age are you? How close are you to retirement with this 500,000? But please consider subscribing. Please just share this channel with others. Like I like to say on this channel, we are all on this financial journey together. All of us want to end up with a comfortable retirement. And so we need to run numbers for you to see where you might be depending on where you're at in your work career. In this case, where we're looking at somebody who was close to retirement. We also run all kinds of different videos for maybe when you're in your 30s and 40s. So please be sure and check out some of those. If you want me to run some numbers for you, just put it in the comment section. We'll run numbers for you. But again, please consider subscribing. Please share this channel with others. Let people know there's a channel out there that does run numbers using actual returns for the last 100 years. We do use the S&P 500. Thanks so much for watching.